Hi, Dr. Mel back with physics. Nice thinking physics when you're busy in a car traveling, seeing other cars traveling, stopping, exerting forces. So remember, you are surrounded by physics. And Newton actually developed two different laws. In actual fact, he's got three. We did Newton's first law when we did inertia. Now we're on to the second law, and the third one will follow after we've done a few applications on the second law. Now let's have a look. What will happen to this car, which is our object, if I've got balanced forces on this car? Let's say, for instance, Joe is actually pushing this car. So Joe is pushing this car with a force of 60 newtons. Well, if the friction is greater than 60 or even 60 newtons, but it can be greater if it's 70, 80, or anything more, nothing will happen because this frictional force and the applied force is balanced forces. Newton said, what happens if something moves? And he watched things moving, and then he said, but they are accelerating, they are going faster and faster. You will do an experiment in class, probably to actually get to the same conclusion that Newton got. You will take the ticker tape. Remember, we did ticker tape with the little dots, and we said if the velocity is changing in time, we can determine the acceleration. So for the first experiment, we are going to take a constant mass, remember, a constant mass, and we're going to change the force. So we're going to take a 1 Newton, a 2 Newton, a 3 Newton, a 4 Newton, and whatever scaling you will have. Let me just take the circle away here so that you can actually see that we are working with the different forces. So I've got on my x-axis the different forces. What do you think will happen with the acceleration if I increase the force? Just think a little bit. What do you think is going to happen? Well, you will find that you can have a 2 meter per second increase. Remember, we started with 0. When we had no force, we also had no acceleration. So we could put that in there. Let's say, for instance, this is there, and that is there, and that is there. When you draw graphs, make very sure that you've got your axes with the units, and then you have to plot your readings. So your readings will be plotted there, and then you draw a line with those dots in that line. And your line should actually be touching most of your little dots. So what Newton did is he drew this line, and he saw as the force increases, the acceleration increases. Now we know we can express that as a mathematical term. So we can say A is directly proportional to the force. As the A is increasing with 2, the force will increase with 2. So it's a direct proportion. So that was Newton's first deduction from changing the forces and then finding that the acceleration is also changing. In a second experiment that he did, he then changed the masses. So he took a 1 kilogram mass, a 2, a 3, and a 4 kilogram mass, and he then kept the force constant. Now, what do you think is going to happen if I change the mass? 1 kilogram? Well, if 1 kilogram has an acceleration of 2, what will a second kilogram do? It will be smaller. It's going to be smaller. So here you've got to select your scale very carefully. So what I'm doing here now is I'm taking this scale and I'm changing it a little bit. Let's go back to our x-axis and say, all right, that's the measurements of the masses that I used. If I now go to the acceleration, I'm going to find the 1 kilogram might be 10 meter per second. The 2 kilogram might be 5 meter per second square. The 3 kilogram might be 3. And that will actually be 3.3. And the 4 will be 2.5. And now you can see I don't have a straight line graph. So very important, this relationship is inversely proportional. What does that mean? It means if the mass is increasing, the acceleration is decreasing. So the one is going up and the other one is going down, which makes it very difficult for physicists to declare. So Newton was very clever. He said, let me take the inverse of the mass. Now let's do that. If I take 1 kilogram, it is 1. If I take 2 kilogram and I inverse it, so I divide with it, I got 0.5. If I've got the 3 kilogram, I got 0.33. And if I have the 4 kilogram, I have 0.25. Now again, at the bottom, I've got this inverse values. So I'm starting here with 0.25. Let me just take this away. So I've got 0.25 there. And I've got my second one is 0.33. Please bear in mind, my scale might be not as accurate as yours, but I think you'll get the idea. So I've got the masses now from the smallest answer there, but it's the 4 kilogram, to the smallest mass, which is the biggest inverse proportion. Now we're going to see what the acceleration will be. Then you'll find this one was the smaller one. It was 0.25. It was 2.5. So let's quickly have a look. I had here, where is my pen? I had here 0.25, and that would be 2.5. There's my mark. The 0.33 was at 3.3. And this one we can make clearer. The 0.5 was at 5. Let's make it there. And the 1 was exactly at 10. And now I've got a straight line going through the origin. Now I've got a direct proportion. So now I can say the acceleration is directly proportional, but be careful, to the inverse of the mass. That's a deduction that we can make. So Newton actually based his second law on the two graphs that you just drew. The first one being the inverse of the mass with acceleration. And you know the inverse was a straight line, so I could deduct that is a direct proportion. I also kept the mass constant and we changed the force. The bigger force, the higher the acceleration, and there we got a straight line again, which says the acceleration is directly proportional to the force. Let's quickly just summarize. The bigger the mass, the smaller the acceleration. So I take the inverse of the mass. The bigger the force, the bigger the acceleration, the faster it will go. So Newton's second law says, when a net force, remember a net force is, a net force would be the sum of all the forces, acts on an object, the object will firstly accelerate in the direction of the force. That will be true. If I've got a box here and I'm pushing it to that side with my net force, the acceleration will also be in that direction. So that's the first thing that you've got to know and write down, that it's a net force that Newton is working with. And secondly, it's the direction of the acceleration. Now, that's not the only points of focus in the second law. The next point is the two deductions from my graphs. He then says the acceleration is proportional to the force. Remember, we said the force increases, then the acceleration increases, therefore you get that graph. And then finally, his law states, and inversely proportional to the mass. And you know, the last graph we did, we said an inverse proportion of your mass will give you a direct proportion there. So be careful that you do the right graphs to get to Newton's second law. So what did he actually say? He said the acceleration depends on the force and the inverse of the mass. And Newton then went and he wrote this down. The acceleration is directly proportional to the force. And if I now go to the second one, he said the acceleration is directly proportional to the inverse of the mass. You can now add these together. You don't have to do the math. You can say this is directly proportional to the force over the mass. And if you now put in an equation and say this is equal, you get to F over M is equal to A. And we are going to rewrite that equation to Newton's second law. Let me just quickly take you back. We said the acceleration is equal to the force over the mass. If I multiply this side with mass, it actually cancels. And now I put the mass that side. Remember, we will then write Newton's second law as the net force will be acted upon on a mass and cause an acceleration. And this will be on your information page. Be careful that you know it's the net force. Be careful that you are working in the correct units. Newton is the unit for force. We actually celebrated Newton by giving him the number N, or the letter N for the unit for force. What is 1 Newton? Well, it's 1 kilogram accelerating at 1 meter per second square. So make sure that you've got meter per second square and that you've got kilogram. They often give you grams here, then you've got to convert. And if you don't know how to convert, go and have a look at the dimensional analysis lessons that we did right in the beginning. Right, I think we are set to start a calculation. A car with a mass of 850. So I've got a mass of 850. Yes, it's in kilograms, so I can work with it. Is it accelerating at 2 meter per second square? The question is, what is the resultant force? So what are you doing? You are writing firstly the equation. Remember, guys, you'll actually get a mark for writing down that equation. The next step will be to substitute. I need the resultant force. So that's actually what they're asking of me. The mass I have, which is 850, and I've got the acceleration as 2. And if you now go and do that calculation, I want you to do it with me. You'll find an answer of 1,700 newtons, and it will be in the same direction or in the direction of movement. So always know that it's a vector and you have to give the direction. You could have said it moves right and then given this as right. Let's do the second calculation. I'm going to give you a little time to read through the second question. Find a force, they asked of me. What does the force do? It accelerates at 4 meter per second square and the body is accelerating has a mass of 3 kilograms. So let's go back. First step, write down your equation. As I said, first mark. Then substitute. I've got 3 kilograms and it's accelerating with 4. 3 times 4 is 12. You know it's in newtons, and you can now say in the direction of movement. Or as I said, you can choose your direction. Let's go and do another question. The question put to you is, calculate the acceleration. Now they ask you to calculate the acceleration. What are they giving me? The mass of 1,000 kilograms. So I've got the mass as 1,000 kilograms, and I've got the force of 100 Newton. What's the first step again? Write down the equation. So let's write down the equation for Newton's second law. We've got the net force, it is 100. I've got the mass as 1,000, and I need the acceleration. You can then divide with 1,000 here and divide with 1,000 there, getting your answer as 0.1, and its acceleration, so it's meter per second square. You could have, instead of doing this, you could have said 100 equals 1,000 A. You could have just actually taken the answer as that. So be careful, take time to do the right math. What's the direction? In actual fact, in the direction of the movement or the force. Always have your direction with your vectors. Right, let's do the last one. An object with 7 kilogram mass. I always write down what they're giving me. Accelerates at 2.5. What is the force? Now I know it's m times a. It is 7 times 2.5. And you'll get your answer as 17.5 newtons, and again in whatever direction. Be careful that you do not lose marks. This will be 1, this will be another 1, and this will be 1. And be careful, if you don't have your direction, you won't get that mark. So actually work very accurately. This is one of the typical multiple choice questions that you'll get. Which one of the following graphs represent the relationship between acceleration and mass? Think about it. What was your graph looking when you had mass and acceleration? Was it directly proportional? No. Was it a high acceleration with a small mass and a low acceleration with a big mass? Well, that's a probability. Was it a high acceleration with a small mass? No, you know that can't be true, and it was definitely not this one. So the correct answer would be B. Be very, very sure that you are reading and making up your mind before you mark your multiple choice question. Right, let's go to a more complex one. They say to me, I've got a force of 200, but now it's at 60 degrees. And we've done many examples when we used forces with angles. Before I even read further, I know in my mind I'm going to have a y and an x component. That's just on the side. Let's continue reading. It accelerates a block which is a mass of 50 kilograms. So that's what it's saying to me. The force which is exerted on this block is accelerating, and here they tell me it's moving to the right, so I can say that's my positive direction, and I can signify it as that. So what are they asking me? They're saying to me, calculate the component of the 200 Newton horizontally. So you've got your hypotenuse. You need to find the horizontal. So the horizontal is this one. And I have the math because I know that is a 60-degree angle. So quickly find your calculator and see if you can do this with me. If I want this x component, it is adjacent to the 60, so I know the x will be, the force in the x direction will be the 200 newtons times the cos of 60 degrees. And if you do put that into your calculator, you'll find a value of 100 newton. So I've got a force of 200 at 60 degrees, but the component in the horizontal is 100 newtons. The second question. Right, now we go to question B, which is more complex. If you read the question with me, they are asking us to work out the frictional force. The frictional force, and they're giving me the acceleration. Now, what do I have? I've got Newton's second law, which says if I've got the acceleration and if I have the mass, which I do have in this calculation, I can find the net force. Remember, I've got to work out the friction. So let's calculate the net force. I've got the mass, which is 50 kilograms. I've got the acceleration, which is 1.5. That's what they actually gave me in this calculation. Now, if you do the multiplication of that, you'll find your net force with a value of 750. How do I get the friction? Well, the friction will be that way, remember, and I'll have an applied force that side. And we now have the net force. So, I've got the net force being the sum of all the forces. And the forces I have was the x minus the friction. Am I correct? Did we do the calculation for this x component just on the previous slide? We worked out that component as, what was it, 100. Yes, 100 minus friction, and I now calculated the net force. Now, if you go and do the math, you can actually see that you could now calculate the friction as 650 Newton. Just let's quickly revise. The net force is the combination of all the forces. Remember, the friction is working in an opposite direction. Therefore, I am deducting that. So the friction is 750 minus 100, which is 650. And remember, your direction will be in the negative direction or to the other direction, whatever you chose. The final question is, calculate the vertical force exerted by the block. Again, a very complex calculation. Now, the 200 Newton has got a vertical component there. So you need to find that y component, and you will find it by using it is opposite, so it will always be the sine of 60 degrees. And if you did the calculation, you will actually find that as 173.21 newtons. That's the math that you've done. Now they asked me the vertical force exerted on the block. Remember, you also have, if I do a little free body diagram, you also had the gravity, and that was m times 9.8. And if you did that calculation, you would find 490 newtons. So what is the vertical force? I've got the y component of the 200, so it's a 173.21 Newton. I also have the gravity going downwards, which is 490. Please don't draw it as I did, because now my 173 is smaller than my 490. But I think you can get the idea that I've got two forces working downward, and if I add them together, I will get an answer of 6.2 Newton, which is the answer for the question of the vertical force. Let's finalize. Newton's second law says you've got to work with velocity changing. So velocity changing is acceleration in terms of mass, and you know the mass is inversely proportional, and then the force, which is directly proportional. You have to be able to draw free body diagrams, and you have to be able to do Newton's second law. Go back to free body diagrams, see that you can draw it. Go back to your equation, which you find on your information sheet. Read accurately, do accurate calculations, and guys, always remember, in Newton, with all forces, you're working with directions. Go back to vectors if you don't know why we were working with directions. I hope you enjoy physics as a lot as I do. Bye.